Hello, beautiful people. I'm gonna do another pick a card reading for you. Angelina, Sparkling Diva. And this reading is on how to find and attract your soulmate. And by your soulmate, I mean this really wonderful love that also stays in your life, right? Three choices. And for the numbers 1, you can't say the color. Now that's annoying. It's an absolutely beautiful, that's a bit better, pink and lilac crystal. It's petalite and lepidolite in one. And for the numbers 2 is a black obsidian heart. And for the number 3, a beautiful carnelian heart from Madagascar. So please make your choice. Then we're going to begin the reading. Right. Numbers 1. Hang about. I wanted to put the crystal on here. Maybe now you can see. Yes, now you can see it better. Absolutely gorgeous. I must admit I haven't seen an example of this. A crystal like this, as beautiful as this one. They still sell them, but yeah, this one really clearly has both colors in it, the pink and the lilac. Anyhow, this is your card for who you should become in order to attract this partner. And by that I do not mean that you have to become someone different, pretend to be something you're not. No, this is about you actually becoming closer, coming closer to who you really are. And Lilith, the first woman, she was the first wife of Adam, and then Adam demanded that she submit to him, and she refused because they were created from the same soil, and so they were equal, and she wanted an equal relationship, so she wasn't going to submit, and so she left him. And then you get the story with Eve. Anyhow, that's in very short the story of Lilith. Very much variety in the stories. Very nasty stories about her too. I do not stick to that. More and more people actually start to see the beauty of Lilith these days, right? As basically as an icon for women, an icon of freedom, because the woman you should become is someone who doesn't settle, who doesn't put up with shit, knows what she wants, does not like to be dominated or controlled, and also she works on herself if need be, right? She asks herself questions like, well, maybe if you left everything behind, what would happen? And if I were entirely equal to everyone else and to every man, what would I choose for my life? Those were questions she asked herself as well. And if I see myself as worthy, what more would I ask for? Also, am I living the life that I desire? Am I actually fulfilled sexually in my current relationship, right? If you're in a relationship. Are there aspects of my sexuality I haven't been able to face and voice? Because Lilith is all about that feminine, the divine, pure divine feminine energy, which is equal to the pure divine masculine energy, which is why she doesn't settle. But it's also about sexuality. Because of that, you see these questions. And so she knows who she is, what she stands for, what she deserves. She knows her worth. And she wants someone who treats her as an equal and respects her and loves her for who she is, and who stands next to her and beside her. And if you can get there too, or at least very far along the way of being like that, which requires inner strength and work on self and so on and so forth, then it becomes much easier for you to attract the man that matches that. You likely are looking for an equal, right? A soulmate who stands beside you, an interdependent relationship. But that means that you yourself first have to become a match for that, right? Otherwise, you can't attract it. If you aren't a match for that yet, then it's impossible to attract the man who is like that, right? Because he's also looking for the same then in a woman. So you will have to first embody that, right? So that's what you have to do basically to attract that mate. And what you are doing currently that stops that from happening, then we have the Kali, Mother of the Universe. I release all that doesn't serve me. It's time to be the truth of who I am. This has a lot to do with peeling of layers of the ego, letting that go. And Kali is the feminine that's called on when the masculine has gone out of balance within us, in this case, right? So you're not balanced if your masculine energy isn't balanced, and women have that too, right? We also have masculine energy. And that's what helps us to be active, to undertake things, to make decisions, to stand up for ourselves, and so on and so forth. Sorry, if that isn't well developed or not balanced, then you are not balanced. And this is also about ego stuff, letting go of ego stuff. Meaning believe that basically the exact opposite of Lilith, right? The feelings of not being worthy, fear-based things, negative thinking, limited thought patterns, and that kind of stuff that holds you back. And then you are not in this energy, in that Lilith energy, and then you cannot attract the man that you actually really want. And you likely then attract men who are, very unpleasant players, unavailable, not willing or ready to commit, and then they leave you and then they commit to the next woman that comes along. Stuff like that, right? Or people that don't treat you very nice, men that trigger you all the time. Old fears and maybe even your limiting beliefs about yourself, right? Men that knock you or whatever, And in any case, men who do not fulfill you, who are not the one you want. So, that's what you have to work on, because that's why it's not happening. That's why it's not working out for you. You really have to work on shifting, use Kali energy to shift to Lilith and not settle, right? Know that the man for you, the right one for you, who will fulfill you, who will match with you in every way, who will stand beside you hand in hand in an interdependent relationship, is out there. And you will find him. And bear in mind that if it was easy, if you came across 10 such men a month, then it would also not be easy, because then who the hell do you pick from these men, right? So if it were easier, it wasn't necessarily easier. Now let's phrase it differently. If there were more of these matches, it wouldn't necessarily be easier to choose. Hope that makes sense. So that's what I have for you, and thank you for watching, and hope to see you next time again. Bye bye. Righty, numbers 2. We have for you the card for what would help you to attract this soulmate. So in that sense, how you should be, the energy you should embody that will help attract this wonderful, great partner, soulmate for you. Your first card, and I only have two, this is a very short reading. So this is Lala, the saint of spoken words. Every word I say becomes a prayer. I am the author of my own story. So Lala was a woman. She was actually illiterate, but she was one of the first female poets of her time, and she had quite a lot of influence because of that. She came up with an awful lot of stuff that was used a lot. Even though she was illiterate, unbelievable, right? And so this is really about the spoken word. Not about any communication, including the written stuff. No, this is about the spoken word. So for you, it will help very much if you pay attention to what you say about yourself, and that can also be on the inside, right? We always have inner conversations going. So what you say to yourself about yourself, also what you say out loud to other people about yourself, because what you say will come true. This law of attraction, right? So if your self-talk is quite negative, or a lot of the time really quite negative, then you have to work on that. Make sure it's positive, right? It's perfectly fine to praise yourself. You don't have to become arrogant, but to say, for instance, that you're good at something, that you're a great creator, that you make a wonderful partner, you are a great, musician, gardener, cook, whatever, that's perfectly fine. You can really just say that, but also about you more as a person. So not just what you do, but also as a person, who you are, etc., etc. Your words, very important. So make sure they're positive. And also, more so, it's important that you do express yourself. Bear in mind, and especially, I'll stick the next card in, that this is the card what you're doing now, why it's not working. And then we have Teresa of Avila, Our Lady of the Interior Life. I trust the answers I find within me. I know that the presence of love is real. This is much about internal energy and internal life. So searching on the inside, looking for answers there, and keeping everything inside. I feel that's mostly for you what this reading is about. You don't express yourself to the outside enough, which is what Lala did. And she truly, really opened up, because she was, I can't remember why, but she was walking through the streets stark naked while she was doing her poems. And being naked means you really are completely, utterly vulnerable. Well, I wouldn't dare do that. I mean, and we're living in the 21st century. I wouldn't dare do that, you know. It takes quite a lot of guts. So it might be very difficult for you to actually open up and express yourself. Tell people what you need and how you feel. You know, people are mind readers, and you have to learn to do that in general with people, in every connection, at work and with friends. And if you really can do that and it becomes natural, then it will also work out much better in a relationship. Right? Like this is more the energy of not speaking up, keeping it on the inside. Normally speaking, of course, this is a very beautiful card, but yeah, we have to adjust these things for this reading. So you're holding things too much on the inside and expect other people to know what you need and to know how you like things, maybe even with sex, you know. That and I think that happens to many women. We just hope and expect that our man knows what we want and need in back in bed. Well, with sex, what feels good to us, but men don't. They often haven't a clue. And they're just sodding around, and often they base it on what worked with their ex. But what worked with their ex doesn't have to work with you and your body, right? Well, I'm not going to go into examples with that, but I think it's clear enough. So speak up, tell people what you need and what you want in a relationship as well, including, I don't know why that comes up, but maybe it's especially important for you with sex, with the intimate stuff. And you really should learn to do that, right? Because, women are entitled to have sexual pleasure as well, and we do not just have to spread our legs and put up with whatever the man wants or does, right? And it will also make a man feel a hell of a lot better if you guide him, right? You mustn't do that in a brutal way. You have to be, because their egos are very sensitive in these issues often. You have to be gentle. You can gently do that stuff like, oh yeah, that feels really good, but if you can move over to that just a little bit, it would even be better, And if a man finds out how he can please you, that will make him so happy. But also, this is just not just about sex, okay? But for some reason it comes up, so I'm just going with it. In general, learn to speak up and tell people what you need and how you feel, right? It's perfectly fine, and you don't have to be a bitch, but people can't read your mind, and you will make them happy if you tell them, because then they can please you. Just think of how, if you find out that you've been doing stuff for years, maybe for a partner or a friend, and then after years you find out that they actually don't like it, that's hurtful, really not nice. Then you really feel like, why didn't you tell me years ago? Then I would have stopped doing that. So it doesn't feel nice when someone doesn't tell us what they need. We often think it does, but it doesn't feel good to the other person at all. So anyhow, this is what I have for you. I hope it makes sense to you. I would love to read that in the comments. So if you feel like sharing, please do. This is really quite specific, and some really powerful stuff came out. Anyhow, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. All right, number 3. As always, there's a set that is a little bit more difficult. This is that set. 2 cards. This is what you should embody, and this one is what you're doing right now. The energy of this that actually stops love, this soulmate, from coming in. And I'm going to start with that one. That's why I put it in. Marguerite Porete, the mystic of divine love, and she actually did beautiful work, but the problem is, and I must say I'm bouncing off the interpretation, the real interpretation of these cards, but I do deviate, otherwise I can't make them work for this reading. Especially this card. That one does work, but these cards, what is working against you, I have to deviate a little bit. She founded her own spiritual ways, and she had followers, followers, but they didn't take vows. And basically what she did, she was proclaiming that people could connect themselves without church to God, to the divine. Well, of course, that didn't sit too well with church, and they told her that she couldn't do that, and well, she just kept doing it because it was what she believed, and she was really very right. So she's actually one of the early light workers that came in to help mankind who got killed by church because she was burned at the stake. Now, what I make of that for you, that's a very much a short story, the abridged version of her story. In this case, what you're doing is working against you. You are following your own thing, and it's not working, and you are not flexible. You don't. Even if you keep barging into brick walls all the time, you don't really learn from that. You don't really change. It's as if you're really very stubborn and have this attitude of, "Oh, sod that! I'm not going to do that. I want it like this," and in some instances that might work, but in this case it's not working. And what I also got just now intuitively message, you're barking up the wrong tree. Like Marguerite had she had a group of followers, but so you may also attract dates and men, but they're not the right ones for you. They will not bring you to where you want to be. They don't bring you fulfillment. And if you keep going the way you're going, it's almost like you're going around in circles, right? And then we get to, and I'm not entirely certain how to pronounce that, so if it's wrong, if you know how to do that, and yeah, forgive me. Enheduanna, the high priestess. This is about being, Enheduanna was one with her soul, and so she embodied the ability to be at one with her soul and to live her highest purpose. And that also means that you have to, she also has worked on getting rid of this veil between the unconscious or the shadow and the conscious. So you are at one. And the way she went about it, she was revered. She was very powerful and important because she even got she's from the Sumerian times. She was born in Mesopotamia. She actually got a title, and that signified that she really had also very tremendous political power. So where Marguerite actually went against the grain and was grating on a lot of people and the system and whatever, that was not the case with her. So you have to go about it in a different way. And that doesn't mean to say you have to let go of your dreams or you have to start doing stuff that really doesn't sit well with you. That's not what I'm saying at all. But sometimes we are just so stuck in certain ways and so inflexible to try another way. And that can be because of fear. And maybe it's just another reason for you, but it can also be fear. Fear of not having control, for instance. And she is not worried about that at all. She's far more empowered. It is just a really very different energy. And it's just shifting from barking up the wrong tree, only have a small group of people that she resonated with, that followed her. And she, Enheduanna, she has been quoted and revered for a long time, even after her death. She was also a poet. She wrote hymns, and even long after her death, they were still considered these poems very valuable, and they were still used. So she did go more with the flow, but she also knew, in a way, she knew better who she was. And and she wasn't barking up the wrong tree. There's something in you that you have to shift. Something in you that just really, or something that you do, is just not working out. Maybe you have to just try to find dates and a lover via another means. Maybe you're now just trying to find them on dating sites and that doesn't work, or only in a pub and that doesn't work. Take your time to sit down, and it helps if you write it down as well. What it is that you want and need in a partner and in a relationship. And then go over that list, make a list, and then go over that again, and then check if there's any ego stuff in there. Like, for instance, based on something that you experienced with an ex that was not really very nice, you'd never want that again. And that's somehow back in your list now, and then you should cross that off, because then you're still projecting from the past, right? And you will not find a new man who is different if you still have this old stuff and hang-ups in a way in your energy. Somehow you have to change the way you go about it. Can be what I just said, can also be something different for you. I'm not certain, because it's not a personal reading. And that barking up the tree came through really strong. So I think, that part is important. Find a different place or a means of meeting people, and also a bit working on yourself so you are more flexible. And like this was said with that one, is that she was at one, right? There was no veil anymore between her subconscious or unconscious, whatever you want to call it, and her conscious, right? And so she had worked on her shadow, her ego stuff, etc. And she was actually, because of that, really connected to her higher being, and from that place, manifesting and living. She was living her highest purpose. And this woman, for some reason, in this reading, it isn't. Right? So, I hope that resonates and that it's helpful. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.